Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Gaurav Sharma and with me is Ramya, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment, and more. The headlines. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to embark on a two-day visit to Uzbekistan to attend the SCO summit on Thursday. India and France agree to work for Indo-Pacific trilateral development cooperation. Prime Minister Modi and Bhutanese King Namgyel Wangchuk discuss ideas to further strengthen the India-Bhutan friendship. India raises concern over US decision to provide sustenance package for Pakistan's F-16 fleet. New Delhi slams Islamabad for abusing UN Human Rights Council for malicious propaganda against India. Nearly 100 killed in Armenia-Azerbaijan border clashes. India says there can be no military solution to any conflict. Indian President Draupadi Murmu to visit London to attend the state funeral of Queen Elizabeth II. In sports, India to host the FIFA Under-17 Women's Football World Cup from 11th to 30th of October. And in women's cricket, India to play the third and final T20 match against England at Bristol on Thursday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be on a two-day visit to Samarkand of Uzbekistan from Thursday to attend the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. Mr. Modi is visiting the country at the invitation of the Uzbekistan President Shavkat Mirziyoyev. The Ministry of External Affairs said that at this summit, the leaders are expected to review the grouping's activities over the past 2 decades and discuss the prospects of multilateral cooperation. Our correspondent reports that the summit will be attended by the leaders of the SCO, member states, observer states, Secretary General of the SCO, Executive Director of the SCO Regional Anti-Terrorist Structure, the President of Turkmenistan, and other invited guests.
The 22nd meeting of the Council of Heads of State of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization will discuss topical issues of regional and global importance. This will be the first in-person summit after the COVID pandemic hit the world. The last summit was held in June 2019 in Bishkek in Kyrgyzstan. Chinese President Xi Jinping, Russian President Vladimir Putin, Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, and Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi are among the invited leaders. Prime Minister Modi is also likely to hold bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the summit. The SCO is an intergovernmental organization founded in Shanghai in June 2001. It currently comprises 8 member states: China, India, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, Pakistan, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. Suparna Saikia, AIR News, Delhi.
India is all set to assume the rotating presidency of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO for the first time from Uzbekistan, who is hosting the 22nd SCO summit this year in the historic Uzbek city of Samarkand from Thursday till Friday. After becoming an SCO member in 2017, India successfully hosted the SCO Council of Heads of Government meeting on 30th November 2020, which is the second most important gathering of the group after the Council of Heads of State meeting, also known as SCO Summit. Among other initiatives, India's diplomatic outreach to the SCO countries also leveraged the soft power of Indian cinema in the region, which has turned out to be a great success. To celebrate India's successful conduct of the SCO Council of Heads of Government meeting in November 2020, the Indian Embassy in Beijing launched a unique initiative, a movie series called CinemaScope, in December 2020, exclusively for the SCO countries, in which Indian films dubbed in Russian along with English subtitles are screened every month. The initiative was hailed as a new beginning to bring the SCO family together through a cultural connect and enjoys huge popularity among the SCO diplomatic fraternity in these 2 years. Dmitry Lukiantsev, senior Russian diplomat, said that Indian films are quite amazing with their plots and stories.
We come here every month and enjoy each movie we sort of see. very difficult to single out a single movie. Basically, they are all so different. They have followed a different pattern. They have a different plot.
The CinemaScope event in 2020 was jointly inaugurated by the then Indian ambassador to China, Vikram Misri, and the then SCO Secretary General, Vladimir Norov. The first movie to be screened was the popular Aamir Khan hit, Three Idiots, and since then, many popular Bollywood hits have been screened at the Cultural Centre Auditorium of the Indian Embassy. Ajay Devgan and Tabu starer Drishyam was the latest in the series, which is widely appreciated for its acting, plot and storyline. This will continue till India's chairmanship of the SCO Council of Heads of State meeting in 2023. Nadia Fomina, a Russian diplomat, said that Indian movies have lots of fun.
All different kinds of movies, not only those movies which are used to watch, movies with a lot of dances and songs, but also movies with some drama or some detective stories or some when you need to think about many things.
Families from SCO countries enjoy quality time with an Indian movie along with tasty Indian snacks and praise this as a great occasion to meet people from other SCO countries in a cheerful atmosphere. Pavel Doklov, expert at SCO, sharing his experience, said,
Very much, really very good actors and very deep plot of the film, very deep sense, and I hope that I will come here again.
The launching event was both a way to celebrate the successful conduct of the SCO Council of Heads of Government meeting on 30th November and start a new track of bringing the SCO family together through a cultural connect. Anna Zobnina at Renmin University in China and English teacher Ruslana Shamanska of Ukraine, sharing their experiences, appreciated Indian films and culture.
I'm surprised, but it's very nice, very interesting, so I'm very happy.
But because sure we made the decision to go to India because film was really nice and like the picture. So, and yeah, it's true about languages, and it doesn't matter that you are reading in English and you are listening in Russian. It's a good mix.
Mr. Misri said the Indian Embassy in Beijing had decided to make a small beginning on the road to build relationships through the medium of cinema. A proposal from Prime Minister Narendra Modi for an SCO film festival is also under consideration by the member states. Mr. Norov, who is now the Foreign Minister of Uzbekistan and is hosting this year's Samarkand SCO Summit, congratulated the Indian Embassy after its inauguration in 2020 for taking the unique initiative and expressed happiness that CinemaScope event coincided with the 20th anniversary of SCO's formation in 2021. India has always maintained deep cultural ties and people-to-people exchanges with the countries in the region of, as SCO region has historically been an extended neighborhood to India. The SCO region is a confluence of diverse civilizations and a cradle of rich traditions of art and culture, which is also reflected in the cinemas made in SCO countries that are globally appreciated. The global influence of Indian cinema, especially Bollywood, is unparalleled, and it has helped propagate the Indian culture and civilization message to far-off places. Indian movies are quite popular in China and other SCO countries and have played a great role in people-to-people connections. The glorious past of Indian cinema and its remarkable journey in the past of more than 100 years has definitely helped in it. In the last 100 years, Indian cinema has transcended boundaries and is not only seen as an art, but a powerful medium to connect people. Indian movies with Russian dubbing have left a huge positive impression among the Soviet movie fandom. Showman Raj Kapoor's Avara was one of the first Bollywood movies to be screened in the Soviet Union. From Raj Kapoor to Mithun Chakrabarti to Amitabh Bachchan, many Indian actors and actresses are considered as symbols of optimism in the households of Russia and Central Asia.
India will host the G20 Leaders Summit at the level of the heads of state and government on the 9th and 10th of September next year in New Delhi. India will assume the presidency of the G20 for 1 year from the 1st of December this year to the 30th of November next year. It is expected to host over 200 G20 meetings across the country. In today's Hotspot section, we have a news commentary by Dr. Atul Kumar Tiwari, the All India Radio Foreign Affairs editor, on India's presidency for the upcoming G20 summit.
India is gearing up for the G20 presidency from 1st December this year. The G20 or Group of 20 is an intergovernmental forum of the world's major developed and developing economies. It comprises of 19 countries. These are Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, Republic of Korea, Mexico, Russia, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, Turkey, UK, USA, and the European Union. Collectively, the G20 accounts for 85% of global GDP, 75% of international trade, and two-thirds of the world's population, in the process making it the premier forum for international economic cooperation. India is currently a part of the G20 Troika, which implies the current, previous, and the incoming G20 presidencies. These include Indonesia, Italy, and India. During her presidency, India, Indonesia, and Brazil would form the new Troika. This would be the first time when the Troika would comprise of 3 developing countries and emerging economies, providing them a greater voice. On 1st December last year, India joined the G20 Troika of Indonesia, Italy, and India, the current, previous, and incoming G20 presidencies respectively. As a Troika member, India is working closely with Indonesia and Italy to ensure consistency and further strengthening of the G20 agenda. India will assume the G20 presidency on 1st December 2022 from Indonesia and will convene the G20 Leaders Summit for the first time in India on 9th and 10th September 2023. Every rotating G20 presidency also serves as the G20 Secretariat for the year. Accordingly, the Union Cabinet on 15th of February this year approved the setting up of a G20 Secretariat manned by officers and staff from the Ministry of External Affairs, Ministry of Finance, and other concerned ministries and departments dealing with G20 subjects. It is responsible for arrangements and implementation of decisions needed for steering India's forthcoming G20 presidency under the overall guidance and the direction of the Prime Minister and the concerned ministers. The G20 Secretariat is handling work relating to substantive content of G20 discussions as well as logistics, including preparations of the meetings and venues, technical, media and security aspects, and facilitating arrangements for G20 delegates. As the G20 President, India will set the agenda for the year, identify the themes and focus areas, conduct discussions, and work out outcome documents. The G20 Secretariat will be responsible for smooth transition from the previous presidency, preparations, and conduct of all G20 meetings during the year, consultations, coordination with stakeholders, and finally, it will lead to handing over to the next presidency. India will assume the presidency of G20 for 1 year from 1st December 2022 to 30th of November 2023. Under its presidency, India is expected to host over 2,000 G20 meetings across the country, beginning December this year. The G20 Leaders Summit at the level of heads of states is scheduled to be held on 9th and 10th September 2023 in New Delhi. The G20 currently comprises of various tracks. One of the most important tracks is the finance track with 8 work streams. These include global macroeconomic policies, infrastructure financing, international financial architecture, sustainable finance, financial inclusion, health finance, international taxation, and financial sector reforms. The Sherpa track comprises of 12 work streams. These include anti-corruption, agriculture, culture, development, digital economy, employment, environment and climate, education, energy transition, health, trade and investment, and tourism. 10 engagement groups of private sector or civil society or independent bodies are there. These include Business 20, Civil 20, Labour 20, Parliament 20, Science 20, Supreme Audit Institutions 20, Think 20, Urban 20, Women 20, and Youth 20 to name them. In addition to G20 members, there has been a tradition of G20 presidency inviting some guest countries and international organizations to its G20 meetings and summit. Accordingly, in addition to regular international organizations such as UN, IMF, World Bank, WHO, WTO, ILO, FSB and OECD, and the chairs of regional organizations such as AU, AUDA, NEPAD and ASEAN. India, as G20 presidency, will be inviting Bangladesh, Egypt, Mauritius, Netherlands, Nigeria, Oman, Singapore, Spain and UAE as guest countries. As well as, in addition, International Solar Alliance, CDRI and ADB will be there as guests. Whilst India's G20 priorities are in the process of being firmed up, ongoing conversations revolve around inclusive, equitable and sustainable growth, life or the lifestyle for environment, women's empowerment, digital public infrastructure and tech-enabled development in areas emerging from health, agriculture and education to commerce, skill mapping, culture and tourism, climate financing, circular economy, global food security, energy security are among them. Green hydrogen, disaster risk reduction and resilience development operations, fight against economic crime and multilateral reforms are among the agenda.
This is All India Radio giving you the world news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
French Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs Catherine Colonna called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday. Besides discussion on bilateral and other issues of mutual interest, the minister conveyed President Macron's message of friendship and cooperation to the Prime Minister. Mr. Modi fondly recalled his recent meetings with President Macron in Paris and Schloss-Elmau in Germany and conveyed his desire to welcome the President in India at an early opportunity. The visiting minister is on a 3-day official visit to India.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has said that India and France have agreed to work towards establishment of Indo-Pacific Trilateral Development Cooperation, addressing a joint press conference after holding talks with his French counterpart Catherine Colonna in New Delhi on Wednesday. The minister said Indo-Pacific Trilateral Development Cooperation would facilitate development projects, especially in framework of International Solar Alliance. He said the Indo-Pacific Trilateral would also provide a platform for Indian innovations and startups to demonstrate their relevance to the requirements of other societies. He also said International Solar Alliance now has formed up projects in 3 countries, which shows the impact that India and France make together in Bhutan, Papua New Guinea and Senegal. Dr. Jaishankar said France is a key member of the European Union and they discussed the advancing India-EU negotiations on trade, investment and geographical indicators. He welcomed the commencement of the first round of negotiations in this regard.
Bhutan King Jigme Khesar Namgyel Wangchuk held a meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Delhi on Wednesday. Mr. Modi in a tweet said that he had a warm meeting with King. They discussed various ideas to further strengthen the close and unique India-Bhutan friendship. The Prime Minister conveyed his appreciation for the guiding vision provided by the successive Druk Gyalpos in shaping bilateral relations. India is Bhutan's largest trading partner. In 2018, the total bilateral trade between the two countries stood at over 9,000 crore rupees.
Indian Defence Minister Rajnath Singh had a productive telephonic conversation with the U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin. They discussed growing convergence of strategic interests and enhanced defense and security cooperation. Both ministers also discussed ways to strengthen technological and industrial collaboration and also explore cooperation in emerging and critical technologies. In a series of tweets, Mr. Singh said he conveyed India's concern at the recent US decision to provide sustenance package for Pakistan's F-16 fleet. The defense minister said he is looking forward to continue dialogue with Secretary Austin to further consolidating India-US partnership.
New Delhi has slammed Islamabad for abusing the platform of United Nations Human Rights Council for peddling malicious propaganda against India. Exercising India's right of reply in response to the statement delivered by Pakistan, the first secretary in permanent mission of India to the UN in Geneva, Pawan Badhe, rejected the statements, terming them baseless. He said that such statements don't deserve any response. Mr. Badhe said that considering Pakistan's own top leadership in the past openly acknowledged creating terrorist groups and training them to fight in Afghanistan and the Indian Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir, Pakistan's audacity as a self-styled torchbearer for human rights of the people of India is appalling. India urged the Council and its mechanisms to call upon Pakistan to take credible steps to end its state-sponsored terrorism and dismantle terrorist infrastructure in the territories under its control. Mr. Badhe said that Pakistan has an abysmal record on promotion and protection of human rights of its people, and it has one of the worst records in ensuring the right to freedom of religion or beliefs for its minorities. He said that India rejects factually incorrect and unwarranted references to India in the statement by the OIC.
New clashes erupted between Azerbaijan and Armenia on Wednesday as international peace efforts intensified a day after nearly 100 soldiers were killed in the worst fighting between the ex-Soviet republics since 2020. The Armenian Defense Ministry accused Azerbaijan. At least 49 Armenian and 50 Azerbaijani soldiers were killed on Tuesday along with their common border, prompting an appeal for calm from Russian President Vladimir Putin. Both sides blamed each other for the fighting. Azerbaijan and Armenia were part of the Soviet Union before its dissolution at the end of 1991. Meanwhile, India has called upon the aggressor side to immediately cease hostilities and said that there can be no military solution to any conflict. Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said India believes that bilateral disputes should be settled through diplomacy and dialogue.
President of India, Ms. Draupadi Murmu, will visit London in the United Kingdom from the 17th to the 19th of September to attend the state funeral of Queen Elizabeth II and offer condolences on behalf of the Government of India. Queen Elizabeth II, the former head of state of the UK and the head of the Commonwealth of Nations, passed away on the 8th of this month. President Murmu, Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar and Prime Minister Narendra Modi have expressed condolences at the demise of the Queen. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar visited the British High Commission in New Delhi on the 12th of September to convey India's condolences. India also observed a day of national mourning on the 11th of September.
The state funeral of Queen Elizabeth II will take place on 19th of September. It will be held at Westminster Abbey, which has a capacity for around 2,200 people. There hasn't been a monarch's funeral service in the Abbey since the 18th century, although the funeral of the Queen Mother was held there in 2002. Meanwhile, the coffin of Queen Elizabeth is now lying in state in Westminster Hall. She was brought to Parliament in a procession from Buckingham Palace. Princes William and Harry, along with King Charles III, walked behind the coffin.
Over the past 75 years since independence, India's largest public service broadcaster, All India Radio, has been the proverbial storyteller for the 1.3 billion citizens across the country. All India Radio is celebrating 75 years of freedom with the series Azad Bharat Ki Baat Akashvani ke Saath. It showcases the journey of India since independence in various walks of life through storytelling of All India Radio. In today's episode, we will bring you the story of industrial development in India.
At the time of independence, the Indian economy was underdeveloped, with agriculture contributing to more than 60% of the GDP and most of the country's export earnings. But after 75 years of independence, India has emerged as one of the leading economic powers. Systematic industrial planning and the different 5-year plans helped in establishing a large number of heavy and medium industries. Industrial development in the country can be divided into 2 phases. The government successively increased its control over different economic sectors during the first phase, 1947 to 1980. In the second phase, 1980 to 97, measures were taken to liberalize the economy between 1980 and 1992. After 1992, the whole process of liberalization became more focused. Great businessman J.R.D. Tata is revered as the first architect of India's industrial revolution and the father of Indian aviation. He founded various enterprises that are now part of the Tata Group. He has played an important role in the development of independent India.
I think that from a technological point of view, management point of view, Indian industry, at least big industry today, is a very different animal to what it was when I first became a director of Tata's. There is a quality consciousness that didn't exist in the old days. We mustn't forget that it's not so long ago, perhaps 100 years ago, when nobody would touch a Japanese product. Now they are the leaders, perhaps in most products, largely on the basis of quality. So, first of all, there is a big change. Then labor. What are you talking about with the dominance of the union, backed by the politician? There is no opportunity to exploit labor.
The iron and steel industry made rapid progress after independence. 3 new integrated steel plants were established at Raurkela, Bhilai and Durgapur. Bokaro Steel Plant was established under public sector in 1964. Visakhapatnam and Salem plants were set up afterwards. Steel sector in India has traversed a fascinating journey from a mere 1 million ton at the time of independence to 120 million tons in the financial year 2021-22. Engineering, cement, chemical and fertilizer industries are also important mineral-based industries which witness rapid progress after independence. Textiles, sugar, paper and vegetable oil industry are parts of the agro-based industries which provide employment opportunities to a large number of people. In order to make India a global manufacturing hub, Narendra Modi government launched the Make in India campaign to facilitate investment, foster innovation, enhance skill development, protect intellectual property and build best-in-class manufacturing infrastructure.
विकसित भारत के निर्माण के लिए देश के मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर का मेक इन इंडिया विस्तार करना बहुत जरूरी है। विकसित भारत के निर्माण के लिए जरूरी है हमारा एक्सपोर्ट बढ़े, दुनिया में हमारे प्रोडक्ट कॉस्ट के मामले में कॉम्पिटिटिव हो, ये सस्ते और सुगम लॉजिस्टिक्स के बिना संभव ही नहीं है। इसी सोच के साथ पिछले 8 वर्षों से देश के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पर अभूतपूर्व काम हो रहा है।
Indigenous capabilities have been developed to achieve self-sufficiency and self-reliance. It is due to these efforts that today India exports a large number of industrial goods to various countries.
The Indian Cabinet has approved the signing of guarantees for hosting the FIFA Under-17 Women's Football World Cup. Briefing the media in New Delhi on Wednesday, Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Singh Thakur said that India will host the events from the 11th to the 30th of October.
In women's cricket, India defeated England by 8 wickets in the second T20 to level the match series at 1-1 at County Ground Derby on Tuesday night. Chasing 143 runs to win, India made 146 runs in 16.4 overs for the loss of 2 wickets.
And before we end the bulletin, a quick look at the headlines once again. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to embark on a 2-day visit to Uzbekistan to attend the SCO summit on Thursday. India and France agree to work for Indo-Pacific trilateral development cooperation. Prime Minister Modi and Bhutanese King Namgyel Wangchuk discuss ideas to further strengthen the India-Bhutan friendship. India raises concern over US decision to provide sustenance package for Pakistan's F-16 fleet. New Delhi slams Islamabad for abusing UN Human Rights Council for malicious propaganda against India. Nearly 100 killed in Armenia-Azerbaijan border clashes. India says there can be no military solution to any conflict. Indian President Draupadi Murmu to visit London to attend the state funeral of Queen Elizabeth II. In sports, India to host the FIFA Under-17 Women's Football World Cup from 11th to 30th October. And in women's cricket, India to play the third and final T20 match against England at Bristol on Thursday.
And now, before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Tajikistan.
And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.